Hopefully this thing doesn't fall off. Woo. Alright. So we are going to be doing dinner with the original Triple Threat. So I got this really cool person in my life, and we was talking about some stuff from a visit I had down at the share house. And in came this greater powers concept. And I brought up this odd comment about, which greater powers are you referring to, right? And so we broke open the Bible and we read a little bit of Genesis, and the super intelligent person was like, whoa, that really kind of makes a lot of sense. So to bring back a point that I was doing the other day was that the English of which the original Bible was translated in is not the American English. It is English, so there's a lot of similarities. But when I was down at Walmart today, I have this thing where I like Bibles now. I have quite a few of them. And I bought this new one, which is a New King James Version. And it's pretty interesting. I kind of like the cover of it, the red leather. I wonder if it's human leather or animal. Traditionally it would have been human. And it says, the world is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. But let's see here. Let's see what the copyrights in this one are. So this is Thomas Nelson, New King James Version, since 1798. And the copyright on this one is 2018 from 1982, backdating to, what did I say that was? 1798. So, this is probably going to be using a lot of the same words. So, while we're going to have dinner with the original Triple Threat, right? What do you mean? What is the original Triple Threat? What does Kevin mean by that in his wonky little stories that we come up with? Well, if you want to have a definition of what a god might be, there is the concept of what demigods might be, or alternate gods, or celestial gods, or primordial powers. But in this context, we're referring to a kaleidoscoping effect of gods, like an echo effect. So God might have to do something so something can happen because God is so mighty that he would crush it in its existence. So he would put responsibilities and duties on things after creating the life, and then that's got a responsibility to create life itself, right? It's a very hard concept for you guys to hold on to. So please slow down these videos, replay them. I think you might get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of it, okay? So by the time this very, very intelligent person and I were able to achieve a similar notion as to some concepts that I was saying about how one might be able to communicate with something that was responsible for teeming life in the water, right? Or anything that is life teemed of the water. And so I wanted to depict what might be the man in the cloud, or what might be this, or what might be that. But to be able to present it, I had to be able to present something else. So I'm going to read the Bible to you, and I'm going to put some emphasis in a few different spots to see if maybe you can pick up what I'm laying down. And at the end of it, I'm going to try and then further present myself. Instead of trying to present myself while reading it, because it's hard for a singular person to make a presentation in this fashion that I'm doing it, and make all sense to you. So, I'm going to take a bite of this interesting bread and see what it's like real quick, and then we'll check this out. Oh, that's delicious. That's fucking delicious. Alright. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the second and the morning, so the evening and the morning were on the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed in itself on the earth." And it is so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule over the day, and the lesser light to rule over the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, so evening and the morning were the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures, and let birds fly across the earth, the face of the firmament of the heavens." So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abounded, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beasts of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed to you. It shall be for food. So to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food, and it is so. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. So by this point, I might add, now that I've done read that to you, by this point, by the seventh day, there's 7 responsibilities that can be accounted for. Outside of like the Seventh Day Adventists, there are 7 responsibilities that can be accounted for. Okay? 7 responsibilities of life, 7 responsibilities of death, 7 responsibilities of our particular place that we believe is the earth of what is being spoken about. And in so, you have to realize then that there are men of old and women of old by this point. You have to realize that there are 7 levels of responsibility given. And I'll point those out to you. And this highly, highly intelligent person that I was talking to, we didn't even read it like this. We didn't even read all of that. We just read some highlighted points that I had because I wanted somebody's opinion who was much more intelligent than I am to tell me whether or not I am so far off base that I might need to consider backing away for a minute. Or maybe, hey, I might be getting a little cuckoo and I might need to put it down, you know. And so by the time I pointed out that God, and this was agreed upon by somebody so much more intelligent than I am, that God is the darkness, the shadow cast over the surface of the deep, which is spirited away. Hence, the old word spirit means to be stolen, to be snatched away. Okay? And the word let means to rent at great cost. So there's a lot of great cost that's happening on these 7 different levels. So what's the first level? What are you talking about, Kevin? What are you referring about? I don't understand this. Okay? Alright, so first what we're going to do is we're going to accept the fact that, if you will, entertain this thought with me, that the darkness, the shadow cast over the surface of the deep is God. Or at least a representation of God. Either it's his shadow cast by a light above him. As you can see, shadowing by my body, happening by a light around me. Or it is the very essence of God. And at some point, God decides that he's separating itself at this point, because there is no denotation of sex from the light. So now there's two. There's the light and the darkness. By justification and by self-labeling. Okay? By self-labeling. This happens. God decides that the light, by his command, his domain, which was separated from itself, because there is no sex at this point. It's asexual, it's primordial. That the light will be called day. That is its name. It's its birthright. The God of light's name is day. It's day. Okay? Light is day. It's its name. My name is Kevin. The light's name is day. The darkness that was cast over the surface of the deep, God decrees and calls himself night. My name is now night. That is my name. That is how I'm going to differentiate myself from that of which I separated myself from. So what is separated from me, its name is day, and my name is night. I have the shadow that is cast over the surface of the deep of my work. So now, for whatever reason, I've given myself this name, and I've given what I have separated from myself a name. So now we have two, and both have great responsibilities. And after we get through some of the word voodoo, because we're trying to tell very important stories that are cascading down like the Matrix from Matrix, if you will. And we have responsibilities that are given after stars are cast in the sky to denote seasons and everything else. So the sun, the moon, everything's already there before the then happens. So we're going to talk about these first four. So now right now we have two. We have day and we have night. And day and night end up with a governor. Because after God set the stars in the sky to govern the earth, God also set governors out there to govern the day and the night. To govern itself and its separation. To that also to be governed on earth as well. You could call them governors, you could call them managers, you could call them jail keepers, you could call them the guards, you could call them the judges, you could call them whatever you want to at this point. Because the word govern is very open to interpretation, even in the British sense. Okay? Even in the British sense, it's very open to govern something. And you're governing the day and you're governing the night. And this is how. God made two lights. Very specific lights. A greater light and a lesser light. So we have lesser lights and greater light. Those are their names. Big brother, little brother. Big sister, little sister. Big sister, little brother. Big brother, little sister. However you want to give these greater and lesser light their alternate name, if you will. And the greater light's responsibility is to govern the day. The day. Very predominantly the day. The light that was separated from God in the primordial sense as the creation is being made. This greater light is to govern the day. And the lesser light is to govern the night. God in itself, the one who does the separation and the creation of all that is great, decides that a lesser light will govern the night. And these will be to govern the day and the night, the light and the darkness on earth. For whatever reason, God decides and decrees that some sort of governorship needs to happen for the two of them. Either they are too powerful and with their echoes of their voice as it will, which a voice is nothing more than something passing by a resonator. And a receptor that resonates to pick up the frequency. So voice and sound, the transmission and reception of it is no more different than what's already happening everywhere. Everything is speaking and hearing. So at this point, we have this fucking amazing thing happening. This primordial God, which has no sex, is asexual, decides to divide itself into a light and a darkness, a day and a night, and decided they need to be governed here on our earth, if you will. If you are into understanding the men of old, the giants that may have been here before, the advanced civilizations. So now we have four. We have four responsibilities. And they're let happen. So they come at great cost. They're rented to us. They're on loan. Our commission, our contract can be null and voided if we do not uphold our end of the bargain. But then here comes the triple threat. A very interesting twisted concept to the trio. Okay? So this is going to bring in 5, 6, and 7. And they're presented in a group of 3. And they have extreme responsibility on earth. And they are not necessarily governed in the same sense as the day and the night are. Because they are protected by the lesser and the greater night to govern that which is outside of earth. As if these 3 are responsible for everything on earth, and the greater and lesser light are to guard that as we travel through space to whatever destination that we are hurling off to. But these 3 could be an alternate perception to the trio. And here, this is what they are. They are the sky, who is responsible for teeming life with birds that could fly through the firmament and into heaven. And they procreated as such before they were told to come to earth to procreate. So the sky was responsible for these creatures that could go from earth to heaven and boundlessly farther throughout all of what is understood to be the universe. And at some point it is decreed that they come to earth to procreate. So the sky is responsible for teeming life. A very interesting concept, because the depiction of bird is anything that can levitate off the ground at this point, that can soar, that can do what those that are connected to the earth cannot do on their own. And then you have the water that God created, who gave responsibility to be teeming with life, both inside the firmament and outside the firmament of earth. So this water, this primordial water, which we have here on earth and that we share outside of earth, is responsible for teeming with life, over and abundantly teeming with life. And God was so happy that He created this because of the life that it creates, and how it's just teeming and bountifully fruitful, full of life, overflowingly so. And then these lands, these dry lands that are called earth. And earth is responsible for teeming with life on land. All kinds of creatures. Every creature that has a breath of life in it. And this includes the grass. This includes the trees. This includes the shrubs. This includes the mold, the mildew. Everything that has a breath of life in it, that is on land, it is responsible for. So we have 7. We have God, night, the shadow cast over the surface of the deep. Number 1, the greatest responsibility of all, as He lets these things happen and creates others with responsibilities of their own. So we have 1, as I'm putting up the number 10 in sign language, so I'll change it. So 1. Sorry, folks. 1. And then we have the day, which is responsible for so much. And God lets this happen at a great cost. At a fucking amazingly great cost. And before the governorship happens, there's two responsibilities that happen. The water teeming with life is 3. So we have the water teeming with life is 3. Then the sky teeming with life becomes 4. The water teeming with life becomes 4. Half of Earth's responsibility for life comes in, but only half at this point. So we're not going to fully say that 5 is enacted. So it's like 4.5. But what happens is God brings in these governors, the lesser and greater light. So 5 and 6 happen. And they have great responsibility. They govern God both day and night. Both those gods. Here on earth, they protect us as we travel through the solar system. They protect the sky, they protect the water, and they protect the earth. Because as they are notated for their responsibility, the rest of the responsibility of earth comes in at the same time. So we have 7 responsibilities, 7 points of life, of creation, of denotation of responsibility, lordship, godliness, and its echo. Now this takes away from the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost in some senses, but it also still leaves that there later in the book. But you have 4 primordial entities. Day, night, greater and lesser. And then you have the 3 earthbound gods. Sky, water, and dry land known as earth. Sky and water are both still in the realms of the primordial. They have access inside of earth and outside of earth's firmament. Our dry ground that has been let appear is very special. It has been collected together and allowed to rise out of the oceans and the seas, which with God wanted teeming life and responsibility. So it is a shared joint venture. Because the seas and the water fill the dry land full of abundance, living life. They allow the life on the dry land to exist. As springs spring up forth from underneath and from above. So water is life, and water is in the sky, and water is in the land. So if you will, there is a dominance of the 3. That water, if you take it away from the sky, if you take it away from the land, neither will be able to fully do their job. So water is the mother of life to her children, if you will. So you have father and mother. You have the governors. So you have 4 and 3, and that makes 7. And this is just, well, in the very first few paragraphs of Genesis. And this very, very intelligent person says to me, you know, you might be onto something. You really might actually be onto something. I never seen it from that perspective. And I've had a few very intelligent people tell me that I might be onto something. And some tell me that it's quite scary, what I present. But think about it if you will. Does it make sense to you? Is it more acceptable to you? Is it something that you could live with? Is it an alternate version to the original that you've been taught so much that you don't really like or can't really digest very well? If so, listen to my story. Check it out. Pick up a Bible. Let's talk about it. You know? But I want to say thank you for joining me. If you do, thank you for staying till the end, if you choose to. Have a good night. I love you all.